I didn't see him. What are you looking so sad about, Jeff?
I'm surprised. I mean, I'm really insulted. That's not right, what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talking. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talking about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, one time during my career, I was on a Bomber 1 tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
What's happening, my people? It's Cass Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it, can't get enough of it. Miss Cass, the Mighty Rise podcast, salute. Salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cass Sports, the Boxtorian. Today, wasted talent. Wait a minute, where's the Rise podcast? Where's your Richard? Let me put that back. I don't know what happened. Okay, but salute to the Rise podcast from the JBT organization. Salute. Okay, today we're going to talk about wasted talent. Some fighters that could have been much more than the level they reached in the sport. And we got a couple Hall of Famers on this list. Made it to the Hall of Fame, but still could have been much more than they achieved in the sport of boxing. Yeah. So here we got Adrian Broner. We got James Lights Out Tony. Hector Camacho, Edmund Rosario, Of course, Riddick Bowe, some of the usual suspects when you talk about wasted talent. Riddick Bowe, Edwin Valero, Michael Dokes, Buster Douglas, Zab Judah, Tony Ayala, Paul Spadafora, Big John Tate, Harry Simon, Ike Iwabuchi. I think Ike just recently got out of prison. The Drunken Irishman in the building. He says the Lara and Janibek fight is off. What? Gonna fight Gonzalez as a replacement. What is Janibek, hurt or something? Wow. Salute Drunken Irishman. Man, that's crazy. I was looking forward to that one. Okay. So the Lara Janibek fight is off. But still a great card, but that was one of them I was looking forward to. But yeah, today we're going to look at some wasted talent on today's show. Okay, but first, let's do our fight of the day first. Okay? We always start out the show with a classic fight, dig that into the archives for a fight of the day. So without further ado, today's fight of the day. Okay, got a good one today. The fight of the day today is Muhammad Ali versus Ken Norton 1, March 31st, 1973. The Battle of Broken Jaw. Okay? Ali versus Norton 1, The Battle of Broken Jaw. Okay. Few deny that Muhammad Ali was one of the greatest heavyweight boxers of all time, perhaps even the greatest. And a major part of the evidence for that claim is the fact that during his prime, only 2 men defeated him. Both terrific fighters in their own right. Of course, one was Joe Frazier, his arch rival, the man who sent Ali to hell and back in both their first great battle in 1971 and again in the monumental Thriller in Manila, arguably the greatest fight of all time. But if Ali was the Superman of the heavyweights division in the 1970s, the other boxer who could rightfully claim to be his kryptonite was one Ken Norton. And there's a shot of, from left to right, the legendary Eddie Futch, Ken Norton, Joe Frazier. Eddie Futch trained both of those fighters, and Joe Frazier and Ken Norton were very good friends, and they made a pact that they would never fight each other. So that's a great fight. Two of the great heavyweights of the greatest age of heavyweight boxing ever in the 70s, one fight we didn't get. So the friendship card didn't just start nowadays. Joe Frazier and Ken Norton played the friendship card way back in the 70s. But let's continue. 2 Eddie Futch trained fighters, and there's a legendary Eddie Futch standing right beside him. Okay, let's continue. Now, Norton's ability to give Ali fits in all 3 of their clashes is evidence of the truth behind one of boxing's most overused cliches. The famous saying that styles make fights. But the simple fact is, some boxers simply have a style which causes all kinds of problems for a pugilist who is otherwise superior. For example, no one in their right mind would argue that Iran Barkley deserves to be regarded as a greater fighter than Thomas Hearns. But the record shows that the Blade beat the Hitman twice. Barkley just had Hearn's number, and that cannot be denied. Okay, just had his number. In the same way, Norton's name is hardly uttered in any serious debate about the greatest heavyweights of all time. And yet, he not only gave Ali serious difficulties, but came very close to winning all three of their fights, okay? And you can make a good argument that he did win all three of them. Not just came very close, you can make an argument that he did win all three of them, okay? And there's just a poster of the fight. San Diego presents the fight at the San Diego Sports Arena Saturday, March 31st, 1973. Muhammad Ali versus Ken Norton. 12 rounds of boxing. Not a title fight, okay? And the co-main was Hegemon Lewis versus Ruben Vasquez. Yeah, 10 and 12 rounds were non-title fights back in those days. Title fights were 15 rounds. Okay, let's continue. Ali's long struggle with Ken Norton, one lasting 39 tough, punishing rounds, began in Norton's hometown of San Diego, California. Yeah, they fought 2 12-rounders, and the last fight was the only title fight, 115 rounds, the last final fight. Now, Norton was a relatively unknown and a huge underdog coming into the fight. But from the opening bell, his jerky movement, tricky defense, and effective left jab gave the former champion pause. The fact Ali was in for a much tougher fight than anyone anticipated was clear as early as the second round, a round which saw Norton score with several looping left hooks, as well as some stiff jabs and lead right hands. Norton outlanded Ali in the second round 34-12, while connecting at a much higher percentage, 63% to Ali's 26%. So as early as the second round, it was evident that Ali was in for a tough outing, and Norton had a huge round in that second round. Now, Ali reversed the tide in the third round, circling the ring on his toes, flicking out his jab, and showing the skills that made him so successful. His movement flummoxed Norton, who had difficulties cutting off the ring. This proved to be a pattern of the entire fight. When Ali used his stick and move tactics, he was effective. When he elected to stand and fight, he paid a high price. Okay, and right here, this picture. This went on the whole fight. Norton kept Ali on the defensive, on the back foot, the entire fight. Okay, like that picture right there is showing. Yeah, that went on throughout. Now, at the start of round 6, ringside commentator Howard Cosell summarized the fight to that point. Either Kenny Norton is a much smarter, much better fighter than anybody thought, or Muhammad Ali is going back a lot more than one could have reasonably believed. But in retrospect, it was unfair to Norton to say his success was due to Ali's apparent lethargy or supposed decline. Simply put, Norton deserved tremendous credit for getting himself in the peak condition, boxing with great poise and discipline, and executing Eddie Futch's game plan to perfection. Okay, because Eddie Futch was going to have a great game plan because Eddie Futch knew Ali. Okay, Ali had 5 losses in his professional career. 4 of them were the Eddie Futch trained fighters. Okay, 5 losses in his career, 4 of them to Eddie Futch trained fighters. And more significant, 4 fighters with totally different styles. Okay, Eddie Futch beat Ali with 4 fighters with different styles. Okay, let's continue. So Kenny was executing Eddie Futch's game plan to perfection. So Ali managed a resurgence in round 8 as he got on his bicycle again and stayed one step ahead of the pursuing Norton. Despite not landing damaging blows, his savvy ring skills were evident as he took control of the pace and prevented Norton from cornering him. But the ex-champion's success proved fleeting as Norton had one of his best rounds in the 9th round, snapping Ali's head back with a hard left jab while blocking or slipping Ali's lead left. Norton was also able to pin Ali to the ropes and drive home some vicious body blows, going on in this round to outland Ali 30-9. So Norton was having some huge rounds in this fight. Outlanded him 30-9 in the 9th round, like 34-12 in the 2nd round. Okay? By round 12, it was clear to anyone watching with attention that a massive upset was about to happen, that Muhammad Ali needed a stoppage to win. Okay, Ali's at the point where he needs a stoppage to win this fight. But despite his points lead, Norton closed the show with the same aggression and fearlessness he had demonstrated throughout the entire fight. In the 15th and the 12th and final round, he forced the fight and pursued Ali to the ropes, where he struck to the body with heavy punches. And with a minute left, he landed with authority, a left hook right hand combination. Norton put an exclamation point on the fight, outworking and outpunching the former champion in complete command at the final bell. Yeah, Kenny put an exclamation point on it. Okay? Despite this, hearing the official decision go to the underdog was still a shock for sports fans everywhere. Though the punch stats clearly supported the judge's verdict, with Norton landing 233 total punches to Ali's meager 171. It was a huge upset and a result that showed that no matter how brilliant a boxer may be, there's always someone, somewhere, with the style and strategy to beat the unbeatable. There was also the fact that Ali was, by all accounts, in less than prime condition, while Norton had whipped himself into the best shape of his career. And he followed perfectly the plan set out by his prolific trainer, the great Eddie Futch, the man who was also the strategic mastermind behind Ali's loss to Joe Frazier a few years before in 1971. In a memorable moment after the fight, Calvin Cosell, who had given Ken Norton no chance of winning coming into the fight, told him in the post-fight interview, "Kenny, you made me look silly tonight." "That's okay, Howard," replied Norton. "You always look silly." And he said, "That's okay, Howard. You always look silly." And there's a shot of Ali's locker room after the fight, nursing that broken jaw. Don King looking sad. You know, they wanted Ali to win. The money was with Ali being champion, not Ken. Well, it wasn't for a title, but I think Kenny Norton got the George Foreman fight after that. And the money was Ali and Foreman. Ali did get Foreman later, but Kenny Norton got the George Foreman fight after winning that one. Okay. So, following the fight, it was revealed that Norton had broken Ali's jaw. When exactly the injury occurred is impossible to know for certain, though Ali and his team always insisted it happened in the 2nd round. If this is true, the feat of competing for 10 rounds with such an injury against a pugilist as strong and powerful as Ken Norton has the rank as one of the greatest displays of courage in the history of boxing. But Norton's opinion was that he broke Ali's jaw in the 12th and final round. Yeah, I'm in that camp. That's a long ways to fight with a broken jaw and somebody big and powerful like Ken Norton constantly hitting you on it. But he said it happened in the second round. Ken said it happened in the 12th and final round. There's your winner, Ken Norton. If the first Ali versus Norton fight proves the truth of the old styles makes fights, it also demonstrated how one opportunity can transform a person's life. Now, prior to his battle with Ali, Norton was a single father who could barely make ends meet. And no doubt, his impressive performance was a product of being supremely motivated. Before the fight, Norton was an unknown contender, one of many. After the fight, he joined the elite of the heavyweight division and became a worthy challenger for heavyweight champion Big George Foreman. As Norton himself put it years later, the first Ali fight gave me a chance to give my son more food, better clothing. A fight with Ali gave me a chance at life, period. And there you have it, the fight of the day. Muhammad Ali versus Ken Norton won by Ken Norton. The battle of broken jaw. Okay, let's get into today's show now. We're going to talk about some wasted talent today. Got a bunch of fighters we're going to cover. Okay, there we go. I had lost the chat momentarily, but now we're back. Mike Rim in the building. What's up, Mike Rim? Salute. And the Drunk Irishman says the Janet Beck-Lara fight is off. Oh, Janet Beck popped dirty. Man. Wow. Isn't that something? Isn't there cheating? Come on, man. What is wrong with these fighters? Hey. So Bud versus Lara now, Mike. Well, it won't be Janet Beck. Wow, he popped dirty. Excuse me for 1 minute, then we're going to get into today's show in like 30 seconds. Okay. Yeah, we're going to start out with AB. AB is the poster child. Textbook definition of wasted talent. Okay, so he's going to be the first person we talk about today. Okay, so let's get into it. Wasted talent. But how's everybody doing this afternoon? That's one down. Janet Beck and Lara is off. Just Do Boxing. What's up, Just Do? Coming up at 4 p.m. I'm going to take you right up to Just Do Boxing. With that balanced, unbiased boxing talk, giving everybody the Just Do. Salute, Just Do. Talking about some wasted talent today. We're going to start out with AB. Okay. But wasted talent in boxing refers to boxers with exceptional skill who never reached their full potential, with common examples including Edwin Valero, Riddick Bowe, Ike Ibuki, and Adrian Broner. This underachievement is typically due to a variety of factors outside of their technical achievements. Outside of their technical skill, such as this underachievement is typically due to a variety of factors outside their technical skill, such as a lack of discipline, poor personal choices, or external circumstances, including bad management, legal issues, injuries, and lack of opportunities. Ultimately, talent is only a small part of a boxer's potential success. Discipline and a strong support system are equally critical for a fighter to reach their peak. Okay, let's talk about AB now. AB is going to be first. Well, I can't get over that, man. I was looking forward to Lara and Janibek, man. I was giving Lara a very good chance in that fight. But Mike says Lara versus Bud next. Wow. Okay. Let's talk about AB. Talking about wasted talent today. AB fits that perfectly. Okay, bear with me for one moment, please. Okay, here we go. Now, Adrian Broner is his own worst enemy. Adrian Broner, aka AB, aka About Billions, aka The Problem, once hailed as the heir apparent to Floyd Mayweather Jr. He was a boxer with a dazzling combination of speed, power, and showmanship. Nicknamed The Problem, he was a 4-division world champion by the age of 24, right? A feat that had many believing he was destined to be the next face of the sport. 4-division champion by the time he was 24 years old. Not many do that. So that had people thinking he was destined to be the next face of the sport. AB was charismatic, confident, and possessed a talent that few could match. But just as quickly as he rose, his career began to unravel. A self-inflicted decline, fueled by a lack of discipline and a series of poor choices. His recent troubles, including an alleged attempt to walk out on a $2,200 restaurant bill, serve as a stark reminder of how far he has fallen. Now, AB's early career was nothing short of spectacular. He rose through opponents with an aggressive, fan-friendly style, earning him a reputation as a knockout artist. Yeah, and AB was a 4-division champion before he was 24 years old, and now he's getting beat by people like Blair Cobb. Back then, Blair Cobb and Adrian Broner's name couldn't be said in the same sentence as far as boxing, man. He would have demolished Blair Cobb, but that's how far he has fallen, you know. His brash personality and AB brand made him a marketable star, and he was a regular feature on major networks, right? He seemed to have it all: the skills, the fame, and the fortune. But the signs of trouble were always there. Broner was known for his extravagant lifestyle, and his behavior outside the ring often overshadowed his performances inside it. He was a frequent subject of controversy, from his disrespectful trash talk to his brushes with the law. These incidents, initially dismissed as the antics of a young and wealthy athlete, were in fact the early tremors of a coming earthquake. Okay? Dismissed as the antics of a young and wealthy athlete, in reality, they were the early tremors of a coming earthquake. Okay? Now, the turning point in AB's career came in 2013 when he suffered his first professional loss to Marcos Maidana. It was a brutal one-sided affair that exposed his defensive flaws and revealed a lack of resilience. Now, while many fighters use a loss as a motivation to improve, AB seemed to lose his hunger. He continued to fight, but his performances became less dominant, and his unwavering confidence appeared to be replaced by a sense of entitlement. He began to miss weight. His training became inconsistent, and his focus shifted away from the sport that had made him a star. Now at 36, Adrian Broner's career is a shell of what it once was. Okay? His record stands at 35 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw. But his recent fights have been against lesser opponents, and his performances have been lackluster. The once feared knockout artist now struggles to close the show, and his ring IQ seems to have diminished. The talent is still there, but it is buried under layers of undiscipline and apathy. The incident at the restaurant, while seemingly minor in the grand scheme of things, is a microcosm of AB's wasted potential. It's a sad and sobering image of a man who once commanded millions, now allegedly trying to evade a restaurant bill. A man who was once the face of boxing, now struggling to maintain a semblance of control over his life. Adrian Broner's story is a cautionary tale, a painful reminder that talent alone is not enough. It's a testament to the fact that without discipline, hard work, and a sense of responsibility, even the most gifted individuals can squander their gifts and fade into obscurity. The problem, it turns out, was not his opponents, but himself. Okay? Adrian Broner. The problem was, he was his own problem. Right? Okay? So let's go to James Toney. Now you might say, well, James Toney's in the Hall of Fame. How could he not reach his full potential? But James Toney had the type of talent, you know, if he'd have reached his full potential, you're talking like a top 15 all-time fighter, man. Mm-hmm. James Toney. Yeah. So let's talk about Lights Out. Yeah, James Toney's on the list. I'm gonna say, well, how can James Toney be on there? He's in the Hall. But hey, he's on there. I'm gonna explain. He was that kind of good. Okay? We're talking top 15 all time like talent. But he had issues with training and all that. We're going to talk about it. Okay. We are going to get into it today. Wasted talent. This wasn't exactly wasted because he still had a great career, but it could have been even greater, you know? Could have been even greater. Okay, here we go. Mr. Lights Out. It's still Tuesday. We still early in this week of boxing history. I'm going to try to get that Don King one in tomorrow that BBO suggested yesterday. Lot to that. I found some good stuff on Don, King. Yeah. He became Ali's trainer, but when Ali and Frazier fought in 1971, guess where Don King was at? Don King was actually in prison when that fight happened. And he came out to be a big-time promoter of Ali. Yep. The fight of the century, 71, he was actually in prison. Okay, lights out. Now, like I was saying, it probably seemed, doing a wasted talent list, it probably seems strange to highlight a fighter like James Toney, who accomplished so much. But Toney had a final record, 77-10, 3 losses, 47 knockouts, okay? Now, Toney had an almost unfair abundance of talent. Brilliant defensively, with a granite chin, fast hands, great counterpuncher, good variety, high ring IQ, underrated power, and a world-class trash talker, okay? On top of all that, a world-class trash talker also. On the top 10 trash talkers list too. Okay? Lights out is. Okay, let's continue with James Toney. I'm trying to miss anybody coming in. Yeah, wasted talent list. We're now on JT. Lights out. There he is, fighting Mike McCallum. He beat him by a 12th round majority decision. Now, ultimately, it was Lights Out's complete mastery of the shoulder roll, Philly shell defense, and his counterpunching brilliance that set Lights Out apart. He was never stopped in over 90 fights. In fact, despite going from 160 pounds to heavyweight, Toney was rarely even wobbled. Sadly, that stellar raw talent was coupled with a lack of discipline, a dislike of training, except sparring, loved sparring, and poor diet. Toney also effectively went missing for 8 years following his last defeat in his 47th fight. Mm-hmm. All this meant that despite his great Hall of Fame deserving career, Toney achieved only a fraction of his overall potential, okay, in the Hall of Fame, but Lights Out really only received a fraction of his overall potential. We're talking a potential top 15 all-time talent, like I was saying, when you talk about James Toney. You're talking top 15 all-time potential. That's him and Michael Nunn. 11th round TKO over Michael Nunn in 1991. Okay. Al Booger. What's up, Al Booger? We're looking at some wasted talents. And I know you'd say, what James Toney doing there? He in the Hall of Fame. But yeah, he could have been so much better too. I'm gonna explain it. Yeah. Potential, like I said, top 15 type talent. Okay. So yeah, Toney had the ability to be one of the greatest ever had he stayed in shape. Like I was saying, top 15 or higher. In his early career, the draining rapid weight loss required to get his 200 pounds between fights back down to 160 or 168 would occasionally lead to poor throwing, like against Dave Tiberi. He did get the win in that one. But, a lot of people say he should have lost that one to Tiberi. Okay. But yeah, trying to cut all that weight in between, after, going up in between fights led to some poor showings for Lights Out. Okay, yeah, that's him and Iran Barkley right there. He's got a TKO over Iran Barkley in the ninth round, 1993. Former two-weight world champion Steve Collins trained alongside Lights Out early in his career. He describes James as the most talented fighter he's ever seen or shared a ring with. And Steve Collins fought Mike McCallum, Chris Eubank, and Nigel Benn. He said James Toney was more talented than all of them. And Collins also said James drank Coca-Cola instead of water between rounds of sparring, which neatly sums up the problem. Okay? He's drinking Coca-Cola instead of water. Oh, Lights Out. Okay, that right there is him and Prince Charles Williams. He got knocked Prince Charles Williams out in the 12th round in 1994. Often referred to as a throwback due to his style, willingness to fight anyone, and unusually busy schedule, Toney was a breath of fresh air in the early 1990s. A prolific champion in middle and super middleweight. By late 1994, it was neck and neck between Pernell Whitaker and James Toney as to who was the best fighter in the sport. Okay? Late 1994, we talking best fighter in boxing. It was between Tweepy and Lights Out. Nobody else. Okay? Best fighter in boxing at that time. A showdown with 1988 Olympian Roy Jones Jr. was the fight to launch the then 44 wins, no loss, 2 draws, 29 knockouts. Toney on the greater heights. Yeah, this Roy Jones fight was supposed to be a springboard for Lights Out. Okay, it is him and Roy right there. Roy won a 12 round unanimous decision over Lights Out. Things did not go to plan for Toney. He looked drained and sluggish against the phenomenal speed and athleticism of Roy Jones Jr., losing a wide decision. Rumor has it that Toney just lost 44 pounds in the 6 weeks before the fight and 18 pounds in just a few days to make the 168-pound limit for that fight. In the days after the fight, there were stories of Toney going off the rails, chasing after his manager with a gun. Then the wilderness years, 1995 to 2003. James controversially lost his light heavyweight comeback fight against Montel Griffin in 1995. Then sort of mostly disappeared for 8 years. He kept fighting, had the odd fight of note, beating McCallum again, for instance, but also lost to Griffin again. And to Drake Dadsey. Who? Drake Dadsey. Oh. Another world title seemed unlikely at that point for Lights Out. Then, in 2003, after winning an eliminator, Toney faced undefeated cruiserweight champion Vasily Jarov in what was his first crack at a title since 1994. 9 years, okay? Back when he was arguably the face of the sport, best fighter in the sport. So he was this fight against Jarov was his first title fight since 1994. This was now 2003. Okay, with Jarov over there on the mat. Toney won a 12-round unanimous decision against Jarov 2003 in a great fight. Donnie Williams, what's up, Donnie? Looking at some wasted talent. James Lights Out Toney right now. He had a Hall of Fame career, but he could have been so much greater. Like I said, this is a potential top 15 all-time fighter or lower. Potential to be that anyway. You know, when you're talking that type of ranking all time. James Tony had the potential to be that. Okay. Now, in a brilliant display, this is a fight against Jiro. In a brilliant display, Tony turned back the clock to school the favorite Jiro, announcing his return to the top table of the sport. And this was almost 9 years after losing to Roy Jones. After this fight, Tony moved straight to heavyweight to face legendary former undisputed champion Randy Holyfield. While undoubtedly past his best, it should be noted that 4 of Holyfield's previous 5 fights have been contested for heavyweight title belts. Okay? It is him and Holyfield. And Tony at a 9th round TKO over Holyfield, 2003. After a few rounds of the larger Holyfield trying to impose his size and strength on Tony, and finding out that he couldn't hit him, the fight became one-sided, with Tony teeing off on a bamboozled Holyfield. Holyfield's corner eventually pulled him out after a knockdown in the 9th round. Okay? So just 2 impressive wins right there. Turned back the clock against Jiro and then Holyfield. 2 very impressive wins. That impressive win announced Tony now with a record of 66 wins, 4 losses, 2 draws, 42 knockouts as a serious heavyweight contender. A remarkable feat considering his early career was as a middleweight. Okay? Still, it never quite happened at heavyweight for Tony. He beat a few solid contenders, fought to a draw with Wasim Rockman, and beat up John Ruiz for the WBA title. This decision was later changed to a no contest after Tony failed a drug test. Okay? That's him and Sam Peter right there. He lost to Peter, 12th round split decision. A couple of losing battles. The first one close against big punching Sam Peter signaled the end. By that time, Lights Out was 38 years old. Tony labored on for some time, however. He even managed to briefly get down to cruiserweight again in 2011 before finally calling it a day in 2017. That's him and Peter right there. Finally calling it a day in 2017. Despite becoming a 3, almost 4-weight world champion, middleweight, super middleweight, and cruiserweight, a 2-time Ring Magazine Fighter of the Year, arguably the best fighter in the sport in 1994, and a Hall of Famer, who knows what James Lights Out Tony could have achieved had he controlled his weight and not suffered that long mid-career lull. Easily one of the most talented fighters in the last 30 years. James Tony had the talent to have been one of the best ever. Okay? James Lights Out Tony. Okay, we talking about wasted talent now. Although James Tony still had a great Hall of Fame career, it could have been so much greater. Next, Hector Camacho and Evan Rosario. We're going to get to some of the usual suspects like Riddick Bowe, and we already did AB. But Hector Camacho and Evan Rosario now. Camacho first. Yeah, that's part of his legacy, that skirt. He was the first one. I can vouch for it. He was the first one to wear that back in the 80s. Hector. Okay, yeah, Hector and Edmund Rosario. Nick, we're talking about wasted talent today. Wasted talent. The tale of Hector Macho Camacho and Edmund Rosario. Both had pretty good careers, though, but could have been so much better. Mm-hmm. One of the worst things about being a boxing fan is seeing wasted talent. Those boxers who could have accomplished so much more in their boxing careers if only they had been responsible, trained harder, and had better lives outside the ring. Okay? Right now, we're going to talk about Edwin Chapo Rosario and Hector Macho Camacho. And you might say, wait a minute. Weren't those guys multiple champions with a lot of great quality wins? True, but they could have done so much more. Hector Camacho finished his career 78 wins, 5 losses, 2 draws with 37 knockouts. Camacho had some of the best talent ever seen. He had unbelievably fast hand speed, great movements, and decent power at junior lightweight and lightweight. He won the WBC junior lightweight title in dazzling fashion over an admittedly shot-worn Bazooka Limon in just his 22nd fight in August of 1983. Camacho made just one defense of that title against worthy challenger and fellow Puerto Rican Rafael Salas in November 1983. And he knocked Salas out in the 5th round. Then he moved up to lightweight. There, Camacho won the title and had his best win with a very convincing unanimous decision over the very tough and durable Jose Luis Ramirez in August 1985, even knocking him down along the way. Yeah, that was one of the great fights, that 3-round Hearns and Hagler fight, one fight of the year. Over that one, this one went 15. Hector and Jose Luis Ramirez and Hagler and Hearns 3-round fight, one fight of the year that year. Also, Larry Holmes, Michael Spinks, one of their fights was that year. Okay, but Camacho's first defense of the lightweight title was against Edwin Chapo Rosario in June 1986. This was a fight that changed Camacho forever, and not for the best. He showed heart and grit in having to recover for being hurt by Rosario's booming right hand and left hooks in both the 5th and 11th round to eke out a very close, controversial, but not necessarily an accurate split decision win. After this fight, Camacho lost all taste for aggression and became a safety-first fighter. After one more defense against Cornelius Boza Edwards in September 1986, Camacho moved up to junior welterweight, where he fought a comebacking Ray Boom Boom Mancini in March 1989 and was awarded the WBO junior welterweight title by split decision after an uneventful 12 rounds. Camacho defended against Vinny Pazienza, 12th round decision in February 1990, and Tony Baltazar, another 12th round decision in August 1990, before losing the title to Greg Hargan by 12th round decision in February 1991. Camacho lost the chance to retain the title by a draw when he was deducted a point for refusing to touch gloves with Hargan before the final round. Yes, he would have had a draw, right? Now, he won back the title in a rematch against Hargan, another 12-round decision in May 1991, before taking on the great Julio Cesar Chavez. He was thoroughly dominated by Chavez over 12 rounds, lost a decision. And some people only gave Camacho 1 round in that fight, where ironically, Camacho was momentarily the aggressor and was effective at it in that 1 round that most people said he won. I think it was the 5th round. So then Camacho moved up to welterweight, where he faced Felix Trinidad for the WBC welterweight title in January 1994. He managed to win a couple of rounds before losing a unanimous 12-round decision, in which he was badly beaten. His next fight against the named opponent was 2 years later against 44-year-old Roberto Hands of Stone Duran for something called the IBC Middleweight Championship. This was in June 1996. Duran was 44. Camacho won a much closer than announced 12-round decision. And you make a case that Duran actually won the fight. He appeared to do enough to get the win. 44 years old. So they tell you what a prime Duran would have did to Camacho. A year later, Camacho faced a comeback and completely shot Sugar Ray Leonard, scoring a 5th-round TKO in March 1997. Sugar Ray Leonard was commentating the Camacho-Duran fight and thought he saw something and came back and got stopped for the first time in his career, right? That's how he happened to be in that fight with Camacho the next year after Duran fought him. In his last important fight, Camacho dropped down to welterweight to challenge Oscar De La Hoya, where Camacho probably lost every single round in a 12-round unanimous decision loss, September 1997, okay? Then he kept on fighting third-rate opponents after that. Now, there's no shame in losing to Julio Cesar Chavez, Oscar De La Hoya, Felix Trinidad, or even Greg Hargan on a technicality. The thing is, Camacho's not so Spartan training habits, well-documented problems with the law because of possession of drugs, and his change to a safety-first style of boxing was very detrimental to his talent. As he became older, he depended more on his natural talent, his legs, and moved his hands less and less in order to win or just survive. Now, we're not saying he would have beaten Chavez, Trinidad, or Oscar had he trained and lived right. But he probably should have moved up from lightweight to junior welterweight to begin with. As it is, with all the quality wins and those losses to top quality opposition, he still was an underachiever. He once had that much talent. But he could have been much better. Hector Macho Camacho didn't like to train, and a lot of his problems outside of the ring really affected him. Let's take a look at, but he still had a great career. Still had a good career, but could have been that much better. Let's take a look at Chapo. Edwin Rosario. Then we're really going to look at some fighters that really wasted their talent after Edwin Rosario. Okay, here's a shot of Chapo. Okay, you're just looking at some wasted talent today. Well, I'm talking to you, boy. Man. Well, that's quite a way to come in right there. And it's quite a way to go out. Wow. Quite a way to come in, quite a way to go out. Oh, shit. Damn, Donnie, I was trying to do the other guy, not you. Oh, my God. I was trying to get the guy that says I'm calling you boy, and I done timed out Donnie. Oh, my God. Donnie. Merry Christmas. Yes. See these people coming in here with this. Oh my God. Bear with me for a second, man. How can I reverse this? Excuse me. I'm sorry, Donnie. I was trying to time out the other fool and hit the wrong damn thing. That's crazy. Unhide. Oh my goodness. Oh man. Okay. I was trying to do Maximilius. What's it doing? Now I got Maximilius. Donnie might not never come back again. Oh man. Yeah, I can't get him back. Okay, let's continue. Okay. Yeah, Chapo. Donnie knew I wasn't trying to get him. Edwin Chapo Rosario, 47 wins, 6 losses, 41 knockouts. For Chapo. A good power too. Okay, man, it messed my whole day up. Okay, messed my whole groove up. But let's continue. Chapo had an 87.2 knockout ratio too. Okay, let's talk about Chapo. Talking about wasted talent today, okay? Edwin Chapo Rosario now. Gee, me Christmas. Man, I hated to have timed out Donnie. That's one of my big time supporters. That's crazy. 86K seconds, dude. Wow. Okay. Okay, let's get back to this. Now, Rosario was also unbelievably talented with great power in both hands. 86% knockout ratio. Okay, solid lateral movement. Solid boxing skills and superb lateral movement. He won his first title at lightweight, earning a very tough and close 12-round unanimous decision win over Jose Luis Ramirez in May of 1983. Now, following that, his first defense was a first-round knockout of Robert Elizondo in March 1984. He then faced Howard Davis Jr., where a closing seconds knockdown in the 12th round helped Rosario win a very close split decision. That was a great fight, Howard Davis Jr. and Rosario, 1984 year. Rosario got a knockdown in the closing seconds to turn it in his favor. Fight would have been a draw if it had been for that final knockdown. He then gave Ramirez a rematch in November 1984, a fight in which Rosario looked sensational in the first 2 rounds, completely dominating Ramirez and knocking him down twice. But Rosario quickly ran out of gas shortly thereafter and was stopped by Ramirez in the 4th round. Ran out of gas like the 3rd round, right? And he normally didn't do that. He normally going 12 rounds easy. I don't know what happened coming into that fight. 2 wins later, Rosario won a very close decision over the very tough and crafty Frankie the Surgeon Randall in June 1985 to receive another title shot against Hector Macho Camacho, 1986. As stated above, we've talked about Camacho. Rosario rocked Camacho like never before losing a close and somewhat controversial split decision. And that changed Camacho's career, remember? Went from being aggressive to a safety first fighter after that, Camacho did. Now, Rosario's next fight was a title shot against Livingstone Bramble in September 1986. In one of his best wins of his career, Rosario destroyed Bramble by second round knockout, on the mat, 10 count knockout, not a TKO, knockout. Rosario successfully defended his title once from an 8th round stoppage of fellow Puerto Rican Juan Nazario in August 1987, before taking on Julio Cesar Chavez 3 months later in November 1987. Now, Rosario fought hard, but the great Chavez totally destroyed him on his way to an 11th round TKO. And that got very personal in the lead up to that one. Remember, that was the one where Rosario told Chavez he's going to send him back to Mexico in a coffin. And that was Mexico versus Puerto Rico. Now, Rosario regained the WBA lightweight title when he knocked out Anthony Jones in 6 rounds in July 1989, only to lose it in his first defense by 8th round TKO against former victim Juan Nazario in 1990. Right? Then Rosario moved up to junior welterweight and won the title from Lorito Garza, 3rd round knockout in June 91, before losing it in his first defense against Akinobu Haranaka, 1st round TKO loss in 1992. His last notable fight was a 7th round TKO loss to Frankie Randall in January 1993. Now, Rosario started a comeback a couple of years later that ended prematurely with his death, okay? His death was officially by an aneurysm, but unofficially drug-related. Sad in terms of boxing, Rosario's story is also sadder than Camacho's because he lost some fights he probably should have won. His personal problems, lack of training, and drug use could very well be the real reason he lost to former victims Ramirez, Nazario, and Randall in rematches. He beat them all in the first fight, right? And no offense to Haranaka, who did what he had to, but had Rosario been right, he probably would not have lost that fight either. Even Rosario's chin was great when he was on. How else could he have withstood 11 rounds of a prime Julio Cesar Chavez pounding on him, or prime Ramirez in their first fight? Okay? It's a sad story indeed, and there are many other examples of wasted talent. But at least both of these men, Camacho and Rosario, were willing and able to accomplish enough to be in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Okay? All right, wasted talent. Now we're going to go to some real wasted talent, okay? Because next is Riddick Bowe, Big Daddy. Riddick Bowe is next. Okay. There he is against Holyfield. Yeah. Real wasted talent. Right. All right. Big Daddy is next. Riddick Bowe. He could have been. He did become a champion, but he could have been should have had a long title reign. He had everything. Had Eddie Futch. Eddie walked away though. Eddie was like in his 70s then, and Eddie didn't really want to train him in the first place. So Riddick Bowe begged him to train him, and he promised to do everything Eddie asked of him. And he started out doing that, but then he ended up just didn't want to train and eating himself, going up to like 300 pounds in between fights. And Eddie Foote said, I'm 70-something years. I don't have time for this, Riddick. And Eddie walked away. Yeah, that was real wasted talent. Riddick Bowe. And I still think Fan Man cost Riddick that second fight, though, against Holyfield. That's the only one in the series Holyfield won, remember? Okay, let's talk about Riddick Bowe now. Big Daddy Bowe. Man, I done timed out Donnie for $86K. That other fool came in town, but I'm talking to you, boy, and I'm trying to get him out of here and hit Donnie by accident. Man, I can't get him back either. I guess when you're 86K somebody, they going for 86,000 seconds. Wow. Okay. How great was Riddick Bowe anyway? Okay. How great was he? The former heavyweight king Riddick Bowe. He endured his share of tough times quite recently. Cash problems, the threat of jail time, and slurred speech. That indicates Bowe stuck around longer than he should have done in the ring. And very much a fan favorite in his day, the tall and naturally gifted big man seemingly had it all for a while. Just how great was Bowe? Maybe a better question is how great could he have been? The knock on Bowe, both when he was an amateur and again when he was a pro, was that he was lazy in the gym, that he was lacking heart and stomach for intense warfare, that he didn't really want it. This line of thinking was borne out on the grandest of stages when at the 1988 Olympics, Bowe seemingly capitulated in his fight with eventual gold medal winner Lennox Lewis. But then as a pro, with the great Eddie Futz training him, Bowe seemed to have put it all together. Coming into most of his fights, lean, mean, and ready, Bowe really did put it all together on the night of November 13th, 1992, sporting a flawless 31-0 record, as well as a well-conditioned 235-pound body. Bowe defeated Evander Holyfield, the man with the so-called biggest heart in all of boxing, in a truly great fight. Bowe was now the man, and it seemed for a time that all his old bad habits had been dropped. The boxing greatness and a long, long title reign awaited him. That's what everybody thought. We couldn't possibly have known it at the time, but Riddick Bowe, at just age 25, had peaked. His greatest fight had been fought. Was this one night, Bowe, fast, fluid, accurate, powerful, and as effective on the inside as he was on the outside, was indeed the best big man on the planet. This was the first fight against Holyfield. What a shame this version of Bowe would never, ever be seen again. And we saw glimpses of this version of Bowe in later fights, like the third Holyfield fight. Glimpses. Although he won it, but he wasn't that same Bowe from that first fight. And even when he was overweight and had spent more time eating and sleeping in his luxury RV than he had been in the gym, Bowe was able to become the first man to knock out Holyfield in the third fight. This came in the rubber match after an overweight Bowe had been beaten in the rematch by the Real Deal in the Fan Man fight. Around this time, Bowe picked up the WBO heavyweight strap and beat decent fighters like the two small Herbie Hyde and the two big and lumbering Jorge Luis Gonzalez. Then came the two disastrous fights with Andrew Foul Pole Galata. These brutal fights actually proven disastrous for both men. Yeah, neither was the same after those. The first one was ended in a riot, and then Galata went right back south of the border in the second fight and got disqualified again. Jay Gibson, what's up, Jay? From the TWT fam in the building. Salute, Jay Gibson. Jay says, hold up now, Bo. Yeah, this is we're looking at some wasted talent today, Jay. But salute, Jay Gibson. Yeah, we talking about Riddick Bowe now. One of the poster childs for wasted talent. Yeah, Eddie Futch just gave up and walked away from it. So yeah, Andrew Galata, those two fights were crazy. And it was disastrous for both of them. Belted low and repeatedly low by a seemingly crazed Galata, Bowe also chipped plenty of headshots. Despite the horrific nature of these two fights, the second one especially, with Bowe disintegrating before our very eyes, the man who once stood atop the entire boxing world displayed incredible heart, guts, and raw courage. Bowe also showing an astonishing chin and ability to take blows to the head, was amazingly not knocked out, right? Galata instead got disqualified not once, but twice for his demented low blow attacks. And Galata was winning both fights when he got disqualified. And he had the first fight won. Bowe basically needed a knockout. And Galata just kept going low and got disqualified. Like you say, crazed, right? If only the fully conditioned and prime version of Bowe had shown such fighting heart on a regular basis. And that was it. Bowe retired after the second Galata fight. His life in tatters, kidnapping charges, that weird and short-lived veteran to the U.S. Marine Corps, all of 3 days, right? He was in the Marine Corps for 3 days. Perhaps most alarmingly, the slurred speech. Of course, a comeback followed. They always come back. Once again, proven to be the most accurate in all of boxing. They always come back. Accurate scenario in all of boxing. But a fleshy and slow-moving Bowe was not even 20% of the fighter he had once been. Not even 20%. Not 60, not 70, not even 20% of what he had once been. 3 wins over so-so at best opposition later, and Bowe's fighting days had finally come to an end. In the boxing ring, that is. In many ways, Riddick Bowe is still fighting today for inner peace. For one night only, Bowe was a superb fighting machine who could arguably have competed with any heavyweight in history. This, it seems, is how Bowe, the boxer, will always be remembered. Yeah, that first Holyfield fight, he was on top of his game. But that was just that one night. Riddick Bowe, wasted talent. Edwin Valero. Now this is crazy here, Edwin. Edwin Valero, yeah. Talk about wasted talent. This man was undefeated. Had knocked out everybody he had faced. Right before his career ended tragically. Salute Mike Mazzick. Talking about wasted talent today. Let's talk about Edwin Valero, because this one is crazy. Yeah. He was undefeated, had knocked out everybody. You know, probably had a big money Manny Pacquiao fight in his future. You know, they both was with the Godfather. Yeah. They was working their way towards that, but man, he just blew it. Edwin Valero, let's talk about him. Wasted talent today. We're going to try to get Don King tomorrow, requested by BBO Sports TV. Okay, yeah, Edwin Valero. The rise and demise of Edwin Valero. There's Edwin with his famous trademark red headband on. He was known by that. Okay, Edwin. And this is kind of sad too, what happened to him. Now, many people complain of a hard upbringing. Most claim these arduous beginnings can make or break you. The early marks left on the human body and mind play a paramount role in what we become. Edwin Valero was no different. Born on the 3rd of December, 1981, into a life of poverty. Like many South American boxers before him, he would be raised the hard way, sharing a 2-bedroom house with his 4 siblings, his mother, and his father. This would change when Edwin turned 7. His parents split up. The difficult situation that his once complete family had faced now got a whole lot worse without the man of the house around to fill that fatherly role. Education was no longer an option, as survival now had to take precedence, helping his mother by selling fruit, a means of employment all too familiar in those parts. By age 12, the troubled child had become homeless. This is in one of the most dangerous countries in the world. At 13, Valero would get his first taste of organized combat, taking up Taekwondo. Unfortunately, the financial burden was too much, and Edwin had to give it up. He gained employment in a bicycle shop, the owner of which was a former boxer. It was this former boxer who directed the future champion to his first boxing gym. Like the cost of lessons meant Edwin couldn't afford to continue at Taekwondo, it was the cost of public transport that almost meant that boxing lessons too had to stop. However, Oscar Ortega, Valero's boxing coach, would give Valero a chance. He would let Edwin and his brother, Edward, live at the gym, even issuing them with a key. Valero soon showed star talent. And as an amateur, he won 3 national amateur championships. He narrowly missed going to the Olympics when future IBF champion Vladimir Pereiro beat him on a points decision. And while his boxing career was looking bright, his life outside of the ring was still chaotic, something he would later become renowned for. Okay? Robbery and motorcycle theft were popular pastimes, even opted to keep the stolen motorcycles in the gym he now called home. He wouldn't evade the law for long, though. By age 15, he had been jailed an estimated 12 times, each time relying on his amateur coach to bail him out. One prison sentence in particular scared the future star from a life of crime. The reason and length of stay, however, depends on who you believe. Edward himself maintains it was a 6-month sentence for motorcycle theft. Other reports suggest it was a 7-month sentence for assaulting a woman at gunpoint. Whichever is true, it was clear that Edwin had a less than perfect childhood and crime was seemingly a way of life for him. In 2001, Valero would suffer injuries in a road traffic accident, injuries that would rob him from dream fights in America. Edwin, riding a motorcycle at 50 miles per hour, would collide into the back of a car. The impact would throw the helpless rider an estimated 20 feet, and he would sustain injuries that would require 13 weeks in the hospital. The 9th of July 2002, Valero made his professional debut, a debut that would last just 2 minutes. Dinamita was living up to his name, a first-round knockout. This first-round knockout would be the start of a record-breaking streak of first-round knockouts. It would be his 19th fight before someone would take him past the first round. And then that fight only went to the second round. Valero's 20th fight would see him contest for his first world title. The fight would get off to the perfect start for Valero, knocking down Vicente Mosquero twice in the first round. The fight wasn't going to be that easy, and the third round saw Valero visit the canvas. Edwin then opted to untypically box on the outside as opposed to his usual gung-ho approach. The decision paid off, and in the 10th round, the fight was stopped. Edwin Valero was now the WBA super featherweight champion of the world. Valero would defend this crown 4 times, each time successfully, each time by stoppage. The boxing world was starting to pay attention to the hard-hitting Venezuelan. His next fight would see 2 firsts. His first fight at lightweight, and his first fight on American soil. Despite previous attempts to fight in the United States, being halted on medical grounds, the Texan authorities were satisfied that Edwin was okay to fight. So this was his first fight in the United States. The opponent was Antonio Paitalua. At stake was the vacant WBC lightweight title. It would take Dinamita less than 2 whole rounds to finish his man and become a 2-weight world champion. A routine defense against Hector Velasquez was next, a fight that Valero would dominate, leading to another stoppage win. Humberto Soto was the planned next opponent for the unbeaten lightweight champion, planned for the undercard of Miguel Cotto versus Manny Pacquiao in Vegas. But Valero's out-of-the-ring activities would hamper his career again. A visa application was denied due to a DUI charge in Texas. Apparently, Valero had crashed a motor vehicle into a tree and was found with an illegal firearm. These convictions meant any chance of a visa had been destroyed. Yeah, that's why he couldn't fight in the United States again. The legal problems. Instead, he was going to be on that Manny Pacquiao Miguel Cotto card. Would have got a lot of visibility on that one. There's BVO right there. I talked you up, BVO. We're going to try to do Don King tomorrow. BVO Sports TV tonight at 8. Okay, we talking about Edwin Valero. Wasted talent. Salute, BVO. Okay. So yeah, you're having trouble being able to fight in the United States because of legal problems. So instead of fighting on that Cotto Pacquiao card, right? Valero ended up facing Antonio DeMarco in Mexico in what would end up being his last fight. Okay? This would end up being his last fight. The fight was a spectacle, assisted by a flailing elbow from the challenger, which saw Valero's forehead split open and blood began to soak the WBC champion. It would take more than blood to stop the ramp of Valero tough, and at the end of the 9th, DeMarco had taken enough. He retired, brutally beaten by the devastating power and relentless stamina of Valero. The massive fights beckoned, with names such as Manny Pacquiao, Juan Manuel Marquez, and Timothy Bradley being whispered as potential opponents. However, it was his demons who Valero would face next, and he would lose in tragic fashion. He never fought again. It was no secret that Edwin was a hot-headed, aggressive man. He seemed to take extreme pleasure in inflicting pain on his opponents in the ring. And this did not stop when he left the ring. His long-suffering wife was the victim of his violent tempers. This led to the police visiting Edwin on more than one occasion. In 2010, his wife Jennifer was admitted to the hospital with bite marks, bruising, and a broken rib that had punctured her lung. Okay? The reason she gave for these injuries, well, the bite marks were from an attempted robbery and the broken rib from a fall down the stairs, right? So she protected him. This wasn't the first time she had suffered a serious injury. She had suffered a bullet wound to her left leg a few years earlier. When Edwin attended the hospital to visit his wife, he ended up in an altercation with the medical staff, which led to his arrest. A confrontation with a traffic officer led to his admission to a psychiatric ward. The plan was for 6 months of treatment to assist with depression and alcohol abuse. 9 days later, Edwin Valero left the hospital. This decision was probably a pivotal blow in how his story ends. The Venezuelan government decided to arrange for the troubled star to attend a drug and rehabilitation program in Cuba. But before the day of the flight arrived to leave for Cuba, Edward had been involved in another tragic traffic incident, again while under the influence of alcohol. Talk about wasted talent and this career going off the rails. So another flight was rescheduled to go to Cuba for treatment. And this time a police escort was arranged to ensure his safe arrival. Edwin Valero would lose the escort and instead check into a Hotel Intercontinental in the city of Valencia. This would soon be the location of a tragic scene, a scene that would see the death of Valero's wife, okay? Edwin would lose consciousness due to alcohol and cocaine use. 6 hours later, covered in blood, he would visit the hotel reception and reportedly confess to stabbing his wife 3 times. A confession he would soon deny. The police were called, and the 2-weight world champion was arrested. He would tell his cousin that thugs had followed him to the hotel and killed his wife, a story that was in stark contrast to that of which he told the hotel staff earlier. He would maintain this story when questioned by police, also admitting the loss of memory due to drug and alcohol abuse. For his own safety, his shoelaces and jacket were removed as police feared as soon as he sobered up, he would be a suicide risk. En route to his cell, he pleaded with the police not to leave him alone. Unfortunately, they did leave him alone, and these were the last words anyone would hear from this tortured soul. Hours later, Valero was found hanged by his tracksuit pants. Although he maintained vital signs when released, staff were unable to resuscitate him. His end was as chaotic as his start. All we can do now is wonder what could have been. Edwin Valero. Yep. Wow. And he was up, I think he was over 27 knockouts when all this happened. Yep. Michael Dokes. Another wasted talent. Wasted talent today. We're going to get a couple more in. Michael Dokes. Okay. And then we're going to do Buster Douglas. Buster Douglas might be the last one. I think Michael Dokes was a champion, WBO, or something like that. Michael Dynamite Dokes. Okay, that's what they called him. Let's see. We got a shot at Michael while we're talking about him. Yeah. There's Dynamite. Come on, Dynamite. Okay. It is Michael. Dynamite Dokes. Okay, Michael Dokes. Michael Dynamite Mike Dokes was a bad man in and out of the ring. A naturally gifted boxer with amazing hand speed, Dokes enjoyed an eventful amateur career, most of it successful. He was a Golden Gloves champion, an AAU champion, and the teenager boxed giants such as Muhammad Ali in an exhibition and Teofilo Stevenson in the 1975 Pan Am Games, losing a 3-2 decision to the man many say was the finest amateur heavyweight boxer ever, Teofilo. Okay? Dokes loved fame. He loved money, and he had a flamboyant way as he sought to entertain the crowds as he went pro in search of his fortune. The money did come in soon enough. At one point in his career, Dokes boasted of having taken a bath in a tub filled with over $20,000 worth of fine champagne. Hope nobody didn't drink that. And Dokes left his mark on the fans, women especially. Dokes who wore pink mink coats threw expensive flowers to the women who perched at ringside for his fights. Winning the WBA strap in a controversial blur, halting a none too hurt Mike Weaver in around a minute flat in 1982, Dokes' reign proved equally brief. The return with Hercules saw the two men fight the full 15 rounds, Dokes again being the beneficiary of some debatable officiating, this time from the judges, who scored the fight even. So he had a draw with Weaver in the rematch. By now, heavily into drugs and alcohol and out of shape, Dokes was barely beaten by Jerry Coetzee in his next fight, losing the title by 10th round stoppage. Shortly after the loss to the South African Coetzee, stories circulated that confirmed Dokes had taken a lot of cocaine just 48 hours before the Coetzee fight. There was worse to come. Old-timer Marty Cohn, who put his faith in Dokes and invested heavily in him, believing the former champ had cleaned up his act and was serious about trying to reclaim past glories, was initially rewarded for his belief. Dokes stringing together some good wins and keeping clean. It wouldn't last though. A heroic but losing effort against new emerging star Evander Holyfield in the 1989 Fight of the Year candidate, if not winner, was followed by a near decapitation at the hands of the lethal Razor Ruddock. Dokes was done, and he was back on the gear. Cohn knew it. You can always tell, he said, by the way they rubbed their noses all of the time. He was back on the coat. His manager said, by the way they rubbed their noses, all of them. Now, Dokes carried on being starched and around by new king Riddick Bowe in 1993. This was Dokes' last chance at anything big, but the one-time ultra-promising boxer would produce some truly sickening violence outside of the ring. Sadly, off the rails completely, Dokes so severely beat his girlfriend in 1998 that he broke her nose and jaw and was convicted of attempted murder. It was horrific, and to this day, many people think of this chilling episode whenever Dokes' name is mentioned, not anything he accomplished in the boxing ring. Dokes was jailed for 10 years, and he was released on parole in 2008. Indeed, seldom if ever has there been a more disgraceful and complete fall from grace. Michael Dokes. Final record, 53 wins, 6 losses, 2 draws, 34 knockouts. Died from liver cancer in 2012. All right, Buster Douglas. Next. Talk about wasted talent. James Buster Douglas. Okay. Yeah, man. What you talking about? Donnie Williams, T.O. I timed him out by accident. Oh my goodness. I was trying to do. Oh no, don't time out Donnie. Donnie got back in it. What's up, T Hill? Yeah, I timed him out by accident. This other guy came in talking about, I'm talking to you, boy. So I was trying to time him out and I timed out Donnie. Now Donnie got back in and T Hill timed him out, but it's all good. Donnie knows. Donnie probably, what the hell did I do? Let's talk about Buster Douglas. But it's only 10 seconds. I didn't know Donnie had got, well, maybe he wasn't. I don't know. Let's talk about Buster. Buster Douglas. Talk about wasted talent. Yeah, this guy. Another one of the poster children for wasted talent. Buster Douglas. His heavyweight, after he beat Mike Tyson, his reign was lasted like 8 months. Okay? He Holyfield. I think it was Holyfield got him like in the 3rd round, didn't he? Buster was like, they said, not 300, almost 400 pounds in between Tyson and Holyfield fight. No, mate, just kidding. Over 300 pounds in between the Tyson and Holyfield fights. Yeah. James Buster Douglas. For one night only, he was the man. Buster was, yeah. Yeah, there's Buster. And there's his night. Yeah. One of the biggest upsets, not just boxing, sports history. Yeah, there's Buster standing over there, and there's Mike. Done. Don King said Mike got the fast count. When Buster went down, Buster got the slow count. But, Buster got the win. Yeah, T.O., I timed him out for the day. But I appreciate you, T.O., because I was trying to get the other guy, yeah. Now, 35 years ago, it happened. The unbeatable heavyweight king was sensationally beaten up, defeated, and knocked out in what still ranks as the biggest sporting upset in history, not just boxing, sports, period. Whopping great, 42-1 underdog, James Buster Douglas pulled off the almighty stunner. A shock so great, it commanded front page status on just about every newspaper on the planet the following day. And you went to work the next day, people you didn't even know followed boxing was talking about that. Like, damn, you watched, did you see Buster Douglas knock Mike Tyson? I'm like, damn, you watch boxing? They heard about that one. That was a shot heard around the world. Now, fight fans are well acquainted with what went down in Tokyo, Japan on February 11, 1990. Had an enigmatic Don King tried to have Buster's hard-earned victory overturned due to the alleged long count in the 8th round, when Tyson had felled Douglas with an uppercut. And then to the alleged fast count when Buster felled Mike, But anyway, Buster's win was held up, okay? Now, fans too know all about how exciting the fight was and how sensational Douglas looked. Today, some fans wonder how great Douglas could have been had he fought with as much passion, as much heart, as much desire in every fight. Could Buster been one of the greats? Or did he merely put everything in place for one night only against an overconfident, ill-trained, mentally unfocused champion? Douglas seemed to have the full package. At 6'3", he was a big, strong heavyweight. He had a fine left jab, a good chin, effective punching power, skill, and natural talent. That was a very heavyweight that a lot of experts was talking about it would take, because Mike Tyson was to be invincible, then the baddest man on the Iron Mike. He was all that then, the baddest man on the planet. And people would always say it's going to take a big, strong heavyweight with a good jab, a good chin, and effective punching power. And Buster was exactly that. And look what he did to him. When he was in top shape, Buster Douglas also had a good engine. But that was the problem, getting Buster in top shape, right? When he was in top shape, but that was the problem, getting Buster in top shape. The man from Columbus, Ohio, gave his talents the respect they deserved ahead of the Tyson fight, inspired, as we know, by the recent death of his mother. And he trained like a true champion going into that fight. But this was very much a one-night stand, right? Buster never pushed himself as hard again. And nor had he ever pushed himself so hard before that fight. And due to this, it's hard to say one way or the other how good Buster Douglas could have been. Discipline and desire are as important as punching power, speed, or any other attributes a fighter may have in the ring. Discipline and desire is just as important. Speed, power, ring generalship, gas tank chin, discipline and desire is just as important as all of those attributes. Had we seen an immediate rematch, it's extremely likely Iron Mike would have regained his crown in pretty swift fashion. We also hypothetically out of shape a now enormously rich Douglas was in his first title defense against Holyfield. Had Tyson met that version of Douglas in a rematch, it probably would have been one of those 40 or 50 second first round knockouts, right? They had the immediate rematch, and the Douglas that fought Holyfield would have showed up. Yeah, would have been one of Tyson's 50, 60 second knockouts. But if Douglas had worked his butt off in training and had somehow managed to remain ultra motivated and strong, we might have seen Buster beat Holyfield, right? Maybe in a somewhat similar fight to the first Bo Holyfield fight. Yeah, Buster might would have got beat Holyfield like that in a decision. And then he might have repeated the win over Tyson if he would have stayed in shape like he was. But this is all if, right? All if. We will never know how great Buster Douglas could have been. It's frustrating. As 35 years ago, we watched a superb heavyweight fighter go to work in grand style. Okay? And let's look at Buster later, after that Tyson. What happened to Buster after that Tyson knockout? Okay? Nobody never talks about that. Well, what happened to him after that? We know about the Holyfield thing. You know, he lost momentum quickly after the Tyson win. His performance in his first title defense was uneven, and he underwent extensive media scrutiny and distractions, including a reported lack of disciplined training and personal issues. On October 25th, 1990, back in Tokyo, he lost the WBA, WBC, and IBF titles to Evander Holyfield, third round TKO. And that his reign lasted all of 8 months. Now, a career after losing the title to Holyfield. Okay, let's see what happened to Buster after that. After losing the title to Holyfield. Okay. T. Hill said it was a fast count. Okay. He continued fighting, though, after he lost to Holyfield. He kept competing through the 1990s and early 2000s. Some of his notable fights after losing the title. 1993, he beat Oliver McCall, which was a significant win. And then he lost a close decision to Lennox Lewis in February 1993, going for the WBC title. Lennox took him lightly. He faced mixed results thereafter, including losses to Andrew Galata, 1996, and a stoppage loss to Asim Rockman, 1997. Retirement and comebacks. Buster initially retired in 1999 He attempted a comeback in the early 2000s, fought sporadically, and had his final pro fight in 2009 and win, guess where? In Japan, where he beat Mike at, in Japan. Personal life and public profile, financial and personal challenges. Buster encountered financial difficulties and legal issues at times, common for fighters who have abrupt career arcs. He also served as a motivational figure and remained a recognizable name because of the Tyson upset. Media and legacy. The upset cemented Buster's place in boxing history. He has given interviews, participated in documentaries and retrospectives, and his win over Tyson is frequently cited in lists of greatest sports upsets. Health in later years. Long-term health. Like many heavyweights, Buster experienced the physical toll of a long boxing career. Public records and interviews up to May indicate he has kept a relatively low profile in later years, occasionally appearing at boxing events and commemorations of the 1990 upset of Mike Tyson. Legacy. Historic status. Buster is remembered primarily for the Tyson upset, a landmark moment that changed heavyweight boxing narratives and remains a case study in preparation, motivation, and the unpredictability of sports. Influence. His win over Tyson reshaped opportunities for other contenders and is often referenced when discussing preparation, overconfidence, and the psychology of champions. And the most significant thing it did is took that aura of invincibility away from Iron Mike. Everybody like, this guy can be beat. He ain't no Iron Mike. He wasn't Iron Mike anymore after that. No, he was not. Okay. So there you have it. Wasted talent. So tomorrow we're going to try to get the Don King Show and brought to you by BBO Sports TV from the Sports Talk Network, okay? It's Wednesday. We usually take shows out of the chat on Wednesdays, and BBO gave me a good one. I've seen some good stuff on Don King too. Just got to put it together. So that's what we're probably going to be doing tomorrow. But it's time for Just Do Boxing now. So I might as well get off because everybody's going to be over there watching Just Do. And guess where I'm going to be? Over there watching Just Do. Right? But Thomas Hill, BBO Sports TV, Mike Mazik, Jay Gibson, Donnie Williams. Yeah, I gave Donnie the 86K. I was trying to give it to the other guy. Al Booger, Just Do Boxing, Mike Rim, The Drunken Irishman, Mike Mazik. The Rise Podcast was in here today. And Miss Cass. Okay, appreciate everybody. We are going to try to get the Don King Show ready for tomorrow. Yeah, like I was saying at the beginning, you know, Don King became this big, great promoter, promoted Ali, but guess where he was at when the Ali Frazier first fight in 1971 of the fight of the century? Don King watched it from prison. Isn't that something? He came out to be this big-time promoter when he watched the first Ali Frazier fight from prison. Wow, what a story. Love him or hate him, Don King is one of the most significant figures in boxing history. Okay, top 5, him and the Godfather. He has brought us some great, not just great fights, some great shows over the years. Okay, yeah, Don King. And we're gonna try to get him in tomorrow. Okay, and yeah, that's going to be it for today. Another 5 minutes, but I gotta go. But I appreciate everybody for coming through today, though. Appreciate everybody's support. And we're going to try to get Don, like I said, try to get Don King in tomorrow. Take a look at Don King's life and career. Like I say, love him or hate him, he is one of the most significant figures in boxing history. Don King is. Okay? No question about it. There's AB. That was the thumbnail. AB is the host of Child for Wasted Talent. You know, AB, by the time he was 24, he was a 40 division world champion, man. They ain't getting beat by Blair Cobb. Back then, you couldn't even mention AB and Blair Cobb name in the same sentence. He would have demolished Blair Cobb, man. They was looking at AB as the next face of the sport, the heir apparent to Floyd Mayweather Jr., right? But it didn't work out that way. AB was his own worst enemy. And you talking about wasted talent. That's the poster child, the textbook definition, whatever you want to call it. And his own worst enemy, Adrian the Problem Broner. And he was the problem. But, you know, not to beat up on AB, but, you know, those are just facts. But, yeah, we're going to try to get Don King in tomorrow. Appreciate everybody. We got Just New Boxing coming up next. This is Cass Sports, the Box Story. Appreciate everybody 1,000,000%. Everybody have a great afternoon. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Story, bringing you all that boxing history.